Hey guys, spend enough time outdoors and you are going to learn to appreciate a good headlamp. I've got three popular models here covering the spectrum from as light as possible to heavier and fully featured. The Nitecore UL25UL, the Silva Terra Scout H, and the Black Diamond Storm 500R. We'll score these on 8 criteria and see who comes out on top. The first question in the review of any light should probably be, is it bright enough? But how much is enough? Well, by most accounts, 300 lumen should be enough for hiking or running at night comfortably, so they all qualify, but at 500 lumen, the Black Diamond gets the highest marks in this category. I'm not entirely sure most people are gonna need that extra light, but it's nice to have it just in case. Because of the higher light output, I also like to use it on my road bike as a bike light. It does require some creativity to mount, but so far it has performed admirably. In all three headlamps, those lumens are divided between a spotlight and a floodlight, with the floodlight providing situational awareness by giving you a broad view of the surroundings, and the spotlight providing additional illumination in the direction that you're watching. They all follow that same logic, but the pattern, as you can see, is a little different. Light output, by the way, is not only about being as bright as possible. Sometimes a small amount of light goes a long way, and so I'm giving the Nitecore an extra mark for having an ultra-low mode that uses very little power to provide you with 6 lumens, so only a tiny fraction of those 400 lumen max, but ideal for seeing nearby objects, for example inside a tent at night. Second big question, how long will it burn? Well, the difference in battery capacity on these is actually quite substantial. The battery of the Black Diamond is twice as big as the Silva and a whopping 4 times as big as the Nitecore. All that power means that even though the Black Diamond has the brightest max output, it can sustain that output for longer. My testing didn't quite match Black Diamond's projections, but either way, this is a lot longer than you probably ever need for a hiking trip in between resupplies. If you buy this to have a headlamp to leave in the car or the camper just in case, or you have a job or a hobby where you routinely use it for hours on end, a large battery is definitely a great idea. Also, batteries will degrade over time and they don't perform as well in cold temperatures, so Black Diamond deserves those high marks. Silva is my runner-up. It's got a decent battery size, but also a nifty combination of a USB-C rechargeable battery that you can charge without a dedicated charger and the possibility to swap it out for AAA batteries when necessary. So you have awesome flexibility in terms of fuel source. The Nitecore has the least juice and limited future-proofing, so it finishes last in this category. I used these on a couple of hikes and then wore them for half a day at home to see what the long-term comfort is like, and I learned 3 things. 1, I have a very understanding wife. 2, it is frankly a revelation to walk through your own house with a headlamp on. So many things just jump out at you from the shadows, things that you don't normally see. And 3rd, none of these are uncomfortable. I certainly wouldn't be dissuaded from buying either one of them just based on comfort alone, but there are differences. The UL25UL is the lightest of the bunch, but it has a lanyard instead of the more common headband. I'm guessing that is where the L in the name comes from. I'm giving it a 3 out of 5, though it might be closer to a 4 in case you're wearing a cap or a hood, or just naturally have a thick head of hair. The Storm 500R gets a 3 as well. The headband is fine, and they did a great job of distributing the weight, but the light is very front heavy, and that is a bit annoying when you move around a lot. If you intend to use it for running, I would stay away from the Black Diamond or take a look at some of their other lighter models. Silva does a lot better here. They have the most substantial headband, twice as wide as Black Diamond's, and combined with the lighter weight, that gets them the high score. That said, I'm not entirely sold on the durability on the headband. I don't know whether that's because it's made from hemp, because apparently that's one of the changes that Silva's made to make it more sustainable. I doubt it will cause any real problems, but it's not the best look. If so much of the technology that we use every day is self-explanatory, a simple headlamp can't possibly require you to read a manual, right?
Yeah, well, you'd think so, but you'd be wrong.
I have handed each of these to friends with the same simple question. Can you try this out for a minute and tell me what each of the buttons do? Everyone manages to turn the lights on, thankfully, but to explain what each button does,
beats me.
The only one where that usually works is with the Silva, but that is no surprise as they've intentionally kept this very simple. There is just one button and no way to turn the floodlight and the spotlight on or off separately. And I'm gonna guess that simplicity is a good approach for most users.
I live for the simple things.
The red light is turned on with a very long press on that single button, which hardly anyone figured out on their own, so I'm docking 1 point. The Nitecore is a bit more complicated, but at least the basic logic isn't hard to explain. 2 buttons, the small one switching between modes like floodlight, spotlight, red light. The big one toggles between brightness settings within a mode. And so that is okay, I guess, but then getting to the useful ultra low mode requires 2 quick presses, but only while the light is off. Good luck remembering that one. The Black Diamond is, well, it's got the most features and it's got only 2 buttons.
I can't figure it out.
It doesn't make any sense.
People get out of escape rooms in less time than it takes to figure this one out without the manual. And then when I thought that I had it all figured out, it turned out it has an additional way of controlling it via a sort of touch interface on the side. And you can just see where this is going. Unless you use it all the time, next time you're in your tent and you want to turn on the red light to maintain your night vision and not disturb anyone, you know what's going to happen, right? You're going to blast yourself in the face at close range with all those 500 lumens. That is what's going to happen. I think someone should invest some design time into making a nice waterproof rotating dial for these, something that works like an old-time radio. Just turn the dial to turn it on with a click and then control the brightness with one fluid movement, and then maybe push the dial for red light or something. I don't know. Engineering is hard, I know that. Design is hard, but I'm still giving low marks because I just don't want to read a manual to figure out the user interface on a bloody headlamp, and I doubt that you do. The Silva may look biodegradable, and that's probably intentional since Terra is their extra sustainable sub-brand, but it's actually IPX5 waterproof, meaning that it can withstand a sustained low-pressure water jet spray, so rain-proof in most situations. It doesn't have any ports on the outside, so I would have maybe expected to fare better, but it's got the lowest IP rating of the 3. Nitecore has an IP66, which means that it's protected against high-pressure water jets, so okay in very, very heavy rain, but possibly not immersion. Black Diamond scores best in this category with an IP67 rating, which means it's tested to operate at least 1 meter underwater for 30 minutes. As you might expect, the scores in the weight department are exactly the opposite of the scores for battery life. In fact, I think these were all reasonable. The Black Diamond might seem a bit overweight, but if you factor in the size of the battery, the weight makes total sense. The real outlier here is the Nitecore. I don't know of any fully functional headlamp that I would take on a multi-day hike that weighs less. And weight is just one of these things that is super important to some people. Others will just roll their eyes and go for the functional piece of gear. You know who you are. Lastly, features. This is just a grab bag, frankly, of other stuff that you may want to know before you buy. The Black Diamond has not just a red light like the others, but also blue and green, and you can make them blink too, I guess, for emergency situations. Someone told me that blue is illegal here in Belgium because it's what the cops use. I don't know if that's true, but I like to believe it. Just knowing that at any point during your boring life as a cog in the machine, you can just choose to walk on the wild side and be a criminal just by pushing this button.
Calling all units A211 at 6.
Am I going to jail for this? Another nice touch with the Black Diamond is the ability to very precisely control the light output with a clever signal when you've reached the maximum or minimum output. Nicely done. So I'm giving Black Diamond a point for the colors and the dimming, but I am gonna dock 2 points, 2 whole points, for the sheer nerve to make a top-of-the-line flagship model of what is essentially a tech product in 2023 with micro USB. Micro USB has 0 advantages over USB-C. It requires us to bring an extra cable, it breaks easily, it is a thing of the past, and you're putting it in a product that you promise us will last a long time.
Yeah, okay, calm down.
All models have some way of telling you how many battery you have left. Black Diamond and Nitecore with a row of LEDs, Silva with a colored light that blinks when you turn it off. Green means good enough, I'm giving Silva System an orange. For the Nitecore, which charges over USB-C, thank you very much. Two minor things worth mentioning. One, it's got the glow-in-the-dark straps, nice touch, and two, it's got a crappy battery door cover. I get they're trying to be lightweight, but this is not good. The price then, the Black Diamond retails for 70 euros, the Silva for 65, and the Nitecore for about 43 euros. So finally, if we factor all that into the ranking, then the winner is... oh.